to all the dispossessed youth of Africa, for perpetuation of communion with ancestral spirits through the fight for African freedom, and in the firm faith that the dead, the living, and the unborn will unite to build the destroyed shrines. Selah. Hello and welcome, beloveds, to Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well in all your ways and that you're moving into living life truly, beloveds, on your own terms. Really want to thank everyone that has subscribed to the channel. We appreciate, love you so much. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. We will be reviving our primary channels soon and very soon. It used to be a news channel all about African news, and we kind of stopped it because Babylon ended. the matrix came to a conclusion. So we've just been really leaning on spirit to see what new direction, what kind of news and information do we have. But we do cover some of those stories, some news stories here related to the bigger spiritual picture. So not every little African story, because a lot of it is engineered, beloveds. The world is a theater. They control the narrative. So to find stories that are really relevant to us is few and far between, but those are definitely stories for other days. I wanted to talk today about spiritual corruption. And it's really important, as always, beloveds, to remember that as above, so below, as is in the mental, so is in the physical, as is in the invisible, so manifests in the physical or in the visible. And so we see so much corruption in the world, both, on an individual level, within families, within communities, within businesses, within nations. And so that should tell you how rampant a spiritual corruption is, because everything is a mirror of itself. Whatever you're seeing, manifesting here has its roots in a physical, in the spiritual realm, beloved. So spiritual corruption is so real. And that is what has engineered this whole matrix or patrix. That is what has created this whole system. But it can only happen at the collective level, because it's so prevalent on the individual level. And spiritual corruption talks about, the things that people are doing to take things that are not theirs, to steal, kill, and destroy. That's just basically it. But you see, there's a lot of people beloveds, who operate in the occult, because we live in a magical world. We live in a spiritual world, but we've been dumbed down, and our perception has been played with so much that many of us only see this physical reality. But for those who are in the occult, they're the ones who are in the secret societies, and they're the ones who use this, backdoor information, this secret information to, manipulate their destinies, manipulate their lives. And there's many ways into it. Spiritual corruption, one of the ways that it happens is people exchanging destinies, especially for their children, and especially in these societies. So one thing that many of these societies do is they'll collect the gifts, especially if it's like a clan. They'll collect the gifts of all the different children. Everyone has to come with their sacrifice. So everyone comes with the child that they're kind of, putting on the board for or whatever. And they'll collect all the gifts of these children. And then they'll distribute them according to where they want the clan to go, either among the clan members, among, chosen leaders from the clan, and they will boost them with these spiritual gifts, beloved. It's very occultic. And, the way they do it is like they'll split your personality. And all this happens on the spiritual level. So let's just say you were born on the 2nd of March. They'll say that you were born on the 1st of March, and they'll totally be trying to shift you from your personality. Because you see, the day, the hour, the minute, the second that you came into this, into this realm is so significant, because you came in at that time so that you could grab certain powers, certain energetic signatures, certain capabilities. It doesn't happen by accident. So if someone tries to switch up your birth date to another birthday, it's like they're trying to create a split personality and disconnect you from who you are. I mean, these are the levels of the highest level magic. And then once they've done that, they can now use, once they've created this personality and they got you kind of playing over here, they can now use your gifts And there are certain rituals that they do with children, like sexual initiation, beloveds, at the age of 2 and things like that, where they will literally, and that's another way that they can take someone's gifts. Or another really disturbing thing in spiritual corruption that people are doing is many, and this is the reason Africa isn't moving forward, but many African parents who are in the occult actually marry their children so that they can, you see, because that creates a soul tie, so that they can ride on the gifts of their child. It's wicked, beloveds, how these things happen. And usually the way you know that that your destiny has been tampered with or taken from you is many end up alcoholic, many end up depressed, the weaker ones, or the ones who they've just done too much on. Scattered. You'll try and start something and then it won't work because someone else is using your energy. So another big thing that we see in spiritual corruption. So apart from exchanging, and maybe I'll do different spells that people do. Let me know if you'd like to see something on that. The wicked ones, the lower vibrational ones, which is so pathetic because you're a creator. You have everything in yourself to create whatever world you want. So I'll never understand why people do that. But so, another thing is people pass on sicknesses. So, especially people in the secret societies and the occult, maybe you'll be told that, you've got this, or this is coming down the line, because then they operate in the mental. They look at the narrative, they look at what's coming down the pipe, and then they'll try and exchange that. So I gave an example. I did a story about the uncomfortable truth of sexual abuse, and I gave an example of how there was this, it was across Africa. It was almost like a plague where when HIV was really running rampant in different societies, many men were told by their witch doctors that if they slept with a child, a virgin, some even a baby, that baby would take their illness, would take that illness for them, and they would be set free. And a lot of people were like, this is just a cult, this is mad, this is crazy, what? But those are the levels that people are operating. The people ruling the world, that's not crazy to them. And these are the levels that they're operating on. So they have the magic and the skills to switch diseases. And a lot of these people, beloveds, they're not doing this on their own power. They have spiritual practitioners. So you have the fetish priests, you have the witch doctors, you have the marabouts among the Muslims, you have, there's certain evangelicals who say they're using the power of Jesus, but they've got their little obeah things that they do on the side. So a lot of them have these spiritual practitioners who gain energy, who gain something from doing this, from helping people. People pay them to do these things. That's another spiritual corruption, because some of these things are not paid. Like they would never be able to pay for them. Because another thing that people do is they can switch up death. Beloveds, this is not a joke. If you think, death is natural and ordained by God, a lot of times people die prematurely for someone else. Like life extension spells are real. That's why you're seeing now on the physical level, where they're saying they're actually getting to the point where they'll have life extension technology. It's because it's already happening on the spiritual realm. Everything you see happening here has already taken place on the spiritual realm or been taking place. So people can switch diseases, people can switch death, people can switch up destinies, beloveds. This is all the spiritual corruption. Because now they can go with your birth chart or your birth certificate, and they can learn all the things the signatures that you came in with, what they're able to see. Like the spiritual corruption is real. And then another thing that a lot of these wicked ones are doing, and Babylon has perfected this, is delaying their karma, delaying justice. So that, people get almost disheartened because they feel like justice will never be theirs. And the way they do this is by bearing gifts, beloveds. So some foreign army will come and take out your people, and then they'll come, and then they'll be the same ones who are bringing food, medicine, all kinds of things to your people. When you accept that is spiritual currency that can cancel out or delay the justice that you're so desperate for. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, Africa.
Welcome back, beloveds, to Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi Seraki. How you doing? How's everything going? So, sorry, I actually brought my phone up because I wanted to share with you the definition of corruption. You see, corruption, it's so rampant here on this physical plane. So you can imagine how much spiritual corruption is taking place in the heavenlies. And it's because, you see, we were kind of blocked off from higher vibrations. How can I put that? Higher levels of thinking, higher levels of creative thought, of experience, expansion of thoughts and experience. We were kind of holed in to this very low vibration, so people could take advantage. But those are definitely stories for other days, and maybe I'll get into a bit deeper into this, because spiritual corruption is at the heart. It's at the very heart of many of this, why the world is like this. And why, literally it's at the heart of the hijacking of our reality. And, corruption is defined as dishonest or fraudulent conduct by those in power, typically involving bribery, etc., etc. And, it's basically dishonest behavior by those in positions of power, such as managers or government officials. Corruption can include giving or accepting bribes or inappropriate gifts. So spiritually, taking on gifts and talents that are not yours. It's so common, beloveds. It's so common. And people will maybe you came in and you're an incredible healer. And your sister is your mother's favorite. Your mother, if she's in the occult, she could literally take your gifts and put them in your sister, beloved. I mean, and I know this will sound so crazy to some, but that is the levels that are operating right now. And this is the hidden world, what we like to call the hidden hand that is operating on things, So double dealing, under the table transactions, manipulating outcomes, etc., etc. Now, that's just the physical definition. But spiritual corruption is stealing gifts, talents, luck, because some of us come in with incredible blessings, literally where anything we touch will turn to gold, taking those, siphoning those, and either renting them or taking them for good. Because you see, as long as someone is living, you can't really take their gifts, because there is a possibility that one day they'll awaken and they'll get their gifts back. And so, so what happens is, a lot of times these are the ones who family members will sedate, will dumb down, will ostracize, will make sure they're struggling and poor and just dealing with the mundane. And they will think, oh, I'm the black sheep. Oh, no one loves me. Oh, I'm a terrible person. But in actuality, they're being kept down there, or they'll turn into alcoholics or whatever, but they're being kept on that low level so that their energy can be siphoned off and used. I mean, literally, this whole planet is being harvested of energy by like some super negative forces, beloveds. They came to harvest our gold and our soul, our focus, our attention. It's like it has the power to power worlds, beloveds. But those are definitely stories for other days. People will also, jealousy is real, beloveds. And so another thing people do is just kill your dreams, because they can't reach that. You see, we're made to believe in this physical world like we're all the same. We came in, mother, father, children, we're one unit. But no, some of us are finding out that those mothers and fathers are our greatest enemies, beloveds. And so the spiritual corruption, mainly, it takes place in so many households, beloveds, where people are killing, stealing, and destroying. And another, where people will extend their lives. I mean, the world, beloveds, like an accident can be meant for one person, and they'll shift that. And, give it to another person. And in these occult practices, blood sacrifices are real. But I was going to mention there are some people that these occult beings can't kill. So they'll rent your gifts, they'll rent your energies. And it's funny because if you ever visited a mental home, you'd realize that most of those people in there are not mental. It's funny because here in Yanyuki, there's this tall, very handsome, you know, bumster, like literally street man. He doesn't look poor. He doesn't look like he's struggling. He's never out there begging, but he's out on the streets and he seems like he's lost himself a little bit. Very, and he stands out. And so I went to find out what his story was. Because I was like, does he need, he's a Rasta as well. So I was like, does he need food? Does he need like clothing? How can we help him? Like, why is he on the streets? And they were like, his family deposited him here 15 years ago. He's from an extremely wealthy family, but it's like he's gone mad and he just roams these streets. Because literally, some people, you're left as an empty shell, beloveds. They literally take your soul and they entrap your soul in a cage. And then from that cage, they try and use your soul, beloveds. And so you will literally become like a vegetable. And I'll do a show on, some signs that you can know your energy is being siphoned off. Remember, I don't tell you this to put you in fear, but to let you know that purity is everything. You don't need anything from nobody, but you want all your powers, all your giftings that you came in with back to you, back to yourself. And if you're not living your best life, then 9 out of 10 chances is that someone else is using your energy to live their best life. So spiritual corruption, beloveds. And now that I've shared what happens on an individual level, but on a global level, it's with all these deals that we sign and decrees that our governments get us into, all these agreements that have such a massive impact on the spiritual level. Literally, it's not a joke when people say many of our leaders have signed their souls over to the devil. When you talk of puppet presidents, I mean, many of our leaders are either part of the brotherhood, but another scary thing that I'm realizing is many of them, their spirits have been hijacked, beloveds. Occult powers are working on them. So if they don't come with a strong spiritual defense, then they have to become either puppets, willingly or unwillingly, knowingly or unknowingly. But spiritual corruption is real. When you look at the level of physical corruption here, try and imagine what would that look like on a mental, spiritual level. The way the spirit, like here, you'll see the most corrupt are the ones who are most idolized. And that's one thing people are going to realize in these end times, beloveds, is that a lot of the spiritually nasty, wicked, diabolical people have been using spiritual corruption to elevate themselves, to bring them, to take advantage of people. And these are the people that people admire. They'll see them with all the material things, the cars, the this, the that. And they'll look at that and they'll think, wow, look at them. They're living such a good life. And you see, they've made us think that money and wealth equates to a good person or something like that. Absolutely not. But most of the people that you admire today have actually done some pretty nasty stuff to people to get where they are. So don't be shocked. That's why I'm saying don't have any idols. Don't have any, people that you're looking up to. The only person you're competing with, the only person you should be looking up to is yourself. And if you're not someone who you can look up to, then work on that. Because the world is a stage. It's upside down and back to front. Those who we should admire are down there struggling, but things are changing. There's a flip going on right now. And those who people hold in such high esteem are wicked to the bone. Tuko pamoja.